Hi, how you doing there, folks? I'm making this video in response to this article that appeared in the New York Post. MTA throws subway riders under the bus. Okay, this article appeared in the New York Post. It appeared on January 23rd, 2010 on page 2. What is going on is, because Governor Patterson has eliminated $143 million in funding, number one. Number two, there was hardly any negotiations done on the contract between the MTA and the workers. Governor Patterson unfairly sent it directly to arbitration. There was no negotiations, no nothing. As a result of that, they were given 13% raises. As a result of that, now the MTA is threatening these draconian service cuts, which is absolutely unacceptable, folks. This is what's happening. Whole routes are being eliminated, number one. Number two, whole routes will not run on the weekends. Number three, some routes are going to be shortened. Number four, some routes are going to end earlier, some routes are going to start later, on weekdays and on weekends. That's absolutely unacceptable, folks. Transit service should be increased, not decreased. These buses are crowded, folks. And they're record ridership levels since the 50s. So what does the MTA go and do? They go and cut service. It's like saying, well, thanks for the business. Thanks for the business, folks. Thanks, but no thanks. Which is absolutely ridiculous. The MTA is proposing eliminating 2 whole subway routes, having trains run much less frequent, and that's absolutely ridiculous because overcrowded trains are going to become even more overcrowded to the point of unbearable crush. Number 4, what is being proposed is having trains not come as frequent. They already cut 2 minutes of headway on trains during the weekends. Trains used to run much more frequently than 10 minutes. Now come only 10 minutes apart, and they're very overcrowded, folks. And with the raise, you could sometimes wait on a platform for as much as 20 minutes. Number one. And the riders on the platform are standing there 5 deep, pretty much the whole platform. This frequently occurs on the D train platform on Grand Street. Another thing that's happening is these trains are crowded. As late as 1 a.m. you take the D train from Grand Street or from West 4th Street, Broadway, Lafayette. These trains are so crowded, it's almost standing room only in the whole entire train, folks. So what does the MTA go and do? They go and say, well, let's cut service. Which is absolutely ridiculous. Now, Governor Patterson, what we need to do, we need to call Governor Patterson's office. We need to call the offices of our state assemblymen, our state senators, so we need to tell them absolutely that Governor Patterson has to retract on this $143 million cut to the MTA. This is absolutely unacceptable, folks. The routes that are going to be extended to increase service, those should go through. Because service needs to be increased, not decreased. But these service decreases, absolutely unacceptable. I'm going to talk about some of them. The MTA wants to cut the B51, which runs between downtown Brooklyn, and downtown Manhattan. During the blackout of 2003, that was the only way in and out of Brooklyn. That was the only way in and out of downtown Brooklyn. The MTA wants to eliminate the B39 running over the Manhattan Bridge during the overnight hours. That's absolutely unacceptable. There's a lot of folks that don't want to take the subway. They take the bus. And then you're making trains that are already crowded more overcrowded. The B-51, every time I see one, either coming off the Manhattan Bridge in Manhattan or going on, every time I look, I always see at least 30 to 35 riders on. So what does the MTA go and do? They go and make a boneheaded move, wanting to cut it. Another thing is, the MTA wants to eliminate the B-23. Now, along Cortelio Road in Brooklyn, I look at the B-23, I see at least 20 to 30 riders on. So this is a route the MTA wants to cut? It's ridiculous. Not to mention the B11, they want to eliminate that, make that route start later and then earlier. Now, what they want to do is they want to eliminate the last trip on the B11 coming from Sunset Park. Okay? And that's going to result in the 1:40 a.m. trip being eliminated. The bus that you could catch over at New Utrecht and 49th Street headed towards Sunset Park. I take that sometimes. Guess what? The MTA wants to cut it. Gonzo. You know? And frankly, there's a lot of places that the subway does not go to. These buses are very important, folks. Okay, another thing I want to talk about. Governor Patterson wants to make drastic cuts to education, which is going to result in the layoffs of hundreds of teachers in New York. He wants to cut revenue sharing to cities. He wants to eliminate New York's subsidy coming from the state. Totally, 100%, folks. Totally. Which is going to result in firehouse closings, cuts in engine companies, cuts in radar companies. Guess what that's going to mean, folks? When there's a fire and there's people that can be saved, guess what? There ain't going to be an engine or radar company. You're going to be lucky if one shows up in 6-7 minutes. You have some neighborhoods, there happens to be a fire already there. You're going to have what's going to be coming is going to be coming from far away. Safety is being put in jeopardy from Governor Patterson. Governor Patterson needs to be stopped. Governor Patterson needs to be not re-elected. He shouldn't even be on the primary ballot come September. Governor Patterson is not a Democrat. Governor Patterson is a fraud. Governor Patterson is a Republican who could care less about anybody. Now, when I found out that Governor Patterson, the lieutenant governor, was going to become the governor, I thought it was going to be great. I figured a guy coming from the ghetto, he grew up poor in the ghetto. He's going to be very sympathetic to people like me that are poor. You know, people making at the poverty line or below it, and it's going to be, and with him there wouldn't be any more fare increases or service cuts. He would increase subsidies to the MTA. Guess what he did? Complete 360, folks. Another thing about Governor Patterson, cutting education, cutting aid to cities. Where does this guy come off? And he doesn't do another thing about Governor Patterson. There is alternatives to having to do this. Now another problem is $200 million earmarked that was supposed to come to the MTA. It's not coming as a result of the payroll tax because the deadbeats not paying it. There should be some aggressive enforcement going against these deadbeats. Number one. Number two, I'm for what Bloomberg is saying. I think they're Bloomberg isn't doing anything. He's basically for the rich. Now, Governor Patterson also promised that he was going to propose eliminating luxury decontrol. That hasn't happened. Now, Bloomberg wants to put $2 tolls on the Manhattan Bridge. Now, that could bring money to the MTA. Well, I'll talk